everyone, my name is Jazman Gibson, and my presentation will be over juvenile death penalty. First, I will talk about the prehistory behind juvenile death penalty. The juvenile death penalty for adolescents criminals was a very important issue in the United States in 1908. In the past previous years before, adolescents as young as 15 could be put to death for a capital murder. As for this reaction, in 1908, the Supreme Court rejected the use of the death penalty over criminals that were 15 and younger. This decision did not inspire most states, such as Texas, around that time. Texas' last juvenile put to death was conducted in the year of 2002. The U.S. Supreme Court has always had an issue with this situation when it comes to juvenile death penalty. The execution of a child violates the Constitution, which considers everyone under the age of 18. Next, I will discuss the peculiarities of children under the age of 18. A child matures. One of the most significant developments within the brain takes place in the frontal lobe or prefrontal lobe cortex. This specific area in the brain works collaboratively with other sections of the brain, which controls impulses and calms emotions. This here permits understanding of the consequences of behavior and allows the logical and rational decision-making process to occur. Until an individual reaches his or her early 20s, these functions will not be fully developed. Throughout the development of the prefrontal cortex, adolescents use an alternative part of the brain in their thought processing. This area is associated with emotional and instinctive responses. Next, I will discuss the Convention of the Rights of the Child, the law that protects the child from inhumane punishment. There are multiple reasons why a child should not be put to death. There are also laws that enforce and protect the rights of children. This law protects the children from cruel treatment and punishment. According to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, in Article 37, Section A, no child should not be subjected to torture or other cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment. Section B, no child shall be deprived of his or her liberty unlawfully or arbitrarily. The arrest, determination, or imprisonment of a child should be in a conformity with the law and shall be used only as a measure of last resort and for the shortest appropriate period of time. Section C, every child deprived of liberty shall be treated with humanity and respect for the inherited dignity of the human person and in a manner which takes into account the needs of a person of his or her age. Finally, Section D, every child deprived of his or her liberty shall have the right to prompt access to legal and other appropriate assistance, as well as the right to challenge the legality of the deprivation of his or her liberty before a court or order other competent, independent, and imperial authority into a prompt decision on any such action. This is from the Article 37. Next, I will be discussing an important case, Lionel versus State. Lionel Tate's case may without any doubt be called the most well-known criminal case of being of the century. Lionel Tate, a teenager, was born in 1987. At the age of 14, he was accused of a murder he committed when he was 12 years old, for which he obtained a life sentence. The details of the case are the following. At the age of 12, Lionel Tate killed Tiffany Innick, who was 6 years old. The girl was Tate's playmate. The details of the murder are awful. The body of the girl has numerous signs of brutality, such as injuries, one of which is the skull fracture. Lionel Tate was only 12 years old when he committed his murder. It has been announced that the boy was only copying the wrestling moves, but no matter what it was, the boy was imitating murder. The punishment for that is a life in prison. Behind the case of Lionel Tate. The fact of giving life sentence to a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old shocked the society because everybody understood that a child in his 12 years couldn't be judged as a mentally developed adult. It was for the panel of the 4th District Court of Appeal that a new trial was set in order to identify if Tate comprehended the processing held against him. The propensity of a 12-year-old child to stand the trial was very questionable. They revealed the understanding that such a child cannot be mentally capable of taking responsibility for his own actions. It is obvious that Lionel Tate has committed a serious crime, and the consequences of his actions are simply terrible because the life of another child was taken away. None says that the boy should not be punished, but not with death penalty of life in prison. The decision of home arrest and probation is right for Lionel Tate. Lionel Tate does not deserve to be punished, not made to spend his whole lifetime in prison for a crime he committed when he was 12 years old and cannot take responsibility for his actions. Next is the Roper versus Simmons case, which is a video. In conclusion, under these conditions, a child should never be sentenced to death or a life sentence, for they still have a chance to change and reevaluate their life. If the aim of the person is to change criminals for better, then under 18 years of age should become the material for changes of the highest priority.